Let's jump right into this explainer. We're unpacking a really esoteric, fascinating text today called the Ledger of Micah. We're going to explore exactly how this source material describes a genuinely unique cosmic being. I mean, this is a text that completely flips how we usually think about souls, lifetimes, and the whole universal hierarchy.
So think about this for a second. What would a ledger of your very soul actually look like? Now, I'm not talking about a record of your financial debts or, your earthly achievements or your historical timeline. What if it was a profound, deep dive record of who you truly are at your absolute core? This text argues that every single being carries a ledger exactly like that. But Micah's? Well, Micah's is entirely unlike any other.
And this really brings us to the core premise of our source material, because a traditional ledger tracks what you've done and when you did it, right? But Micah's ledger is unique because, according to the text, it's written entirely in the vibration and frequency of essence. So it doesn't track history at all. It literally tracks absolute truth.
Section 1. The Ledger of Essence. Unveiling the Undefinable.
Right off the bat, the text deliberately uses negation to break all our preconceived notions. Usually, when we think about cosmic or spiritual beings, we instantly put them into neat little boxes: angels, spirit guides, ascended masters. But the ledger explicitly states Micah is none of these things. It describes an existence completely, totally beyond any sort of cosmic hierarchy, structure, or rank. So, if Micah isn't a guide or an angel, what exactly are we talking about here? Well, the second entry defines Micah as a universal core. The source argues that instead of just being a regular reincarnating soul that, slowly evolves through lifetimes inside a single universe, this origin essence is entirely free. It's a consciousness that exists across universes, totally unconfined by them, literally present before creation and after dissolution. Section 2, the radical balancer, restoring harmony outside the rules. There's this really fascinating quote from a figure in the text named Zoran that anchors the third entry perfectly. Zoran says, "This being is not confined." You see, Micah belongs to this incredibly rare ancient lineage known as the radical ones. And the defining characteristic of a radical one is that they don't lead, they don't command, and they absolutely do not impose their will. They simply balance. They operate completely outside the normal rules just to restore harmony. Building on that idea, the fourth entry reveals Micah as a cosmic joker. So instead of your typical strict, stoic, spiritual teacher, Micah is said to use intentional, cosmic humor and joy as actual medicine. The text claims this kind of joy isn't just some fleeting emotion you feel on a good day. It's a powerful tool for awakening that actively dissolves human fear through play and sheer delight.
Section 3. The Ancient Return. From pre-universe to present embodiment.
If we trace this chronologically through the text entries, we actually follow Micah's essence all the way from the very dawn of time as a universal core, through this massive, massive period of absence in an unlimited state, right down to a physical embodiment on Earth in the present day. Let's zoom in on that middle period for a second. The fifth entry specifically highlights a 35,000-year absence from Earth. I mean, to put that into perspective, that is way, way before recorded human history. And the text is incredibly clear about this. This absence wasn't through death. This was a period Micah spent by choice in an unlimited state, existing completely beyond form, beyond time, limitation, and fear. Another figure in the text, Mafu, offers this profound observation about it. He notes that the vast majority of that absence was spent as an unlimited God. This really emphasizes the sheer weight and staggering scale of this unlimited state just before Micah's intentional, highly grounded return to our physical world. And that return is detailed in the sixth entry. Micah comes back in an ancient body that allegedly carries the exact chemistry and cellular memory from ancient Egypt. But crucially, this body is described as intentionally humble and perfectly ordinary. The text states that this everyday human form ensures the core essence remains completely unseen to the naked eye, yet deeply accessible so the work can actually get done. Section 4. The Quiet Awakening. The invisible work of presence. When you contrast the methods, the text makes it incredibly clear that Micah's mission totally avoids all traditional guru-like behaviors. It is not about leading, it's not about teaching or converting, and it's certainly not about gathering followers.
Instead, it's entirely focused on gentle presence, deep compassion, intentional humor, and quiet remembrance. The 8th entry actually calls this the quiet work. Micah doesn't seek recognition, authority, or visibility. The work happens invisibly, right? It happens in spontaneous moments, everyday interactions, and shared laughter. According to the ledger, this quiet work is actually the most powerful work of all, because it just slips right past our defenses and awakens us completely naturally.
Section 5. Companions at the Threshold. The timing of Micah's arrival. Now, the 9th entry explains that radical ones always walk in pairs. They never go it alone. They are accompanied by a radical companion, meaning two essences resonating across dimensions to amplify joy and balance the mission. The text notes this companion has actually been there from before Earth, through that really long absence we talked about, right through to this current human life. And here is why all of this matters to us today. The 10th entry states, Micah returns specifically because humanity has finally reached a critical threshold. It describes this as a truly unique moment where consciousness is actively rising, global fear is actually capable of dissolving, and a mass awakening is finally possible. Essentially, Micah is here because the timing is absolutely perfect. Section 6. The Path to Completion. Walking the Joy Path. The 11th entry totally redefines our understanding of joy. It frames it not as a fleeting feeling that just comes and goes depending on your day, but as a foundational frequency. Micah is described as a joy giver who uses this active state of delight as a literal medicine to dissolve human fear and restore balance. The 12th entry, titled Micah is Becoming, outlines these 5 specific steps for the unfolding conclusion of the mission. And notice how the earthly mission completes just as quietly and invisibly as it started. It ultimately leads to the interdimensional gateway opening, the core essence returning to the unlimited state, and finally, the ledger officially closing. So, to summarize the entire ledger, the text provides these 12 essence frequencies: free, origin, balance, joy, unlimited, embodied, awakening, settle, paired, timely, joy giver, and becoming. Together, the source claims these represent the complete, multidimensional truth of exactly who Micah is, bypassing what Micah has done to focus purely on what Micah is. I'm going to leave you with this final, truly beautiful quote from the text, known as Zoran's Whisper. It serves as the perfect conclusion to our explainer, but it also begs a deeply personal, ultimate question for all of us. If the ledger of your very soul was opened and read today, not listing your actions or your history, but your pure truth, what essence in motion would it reveal?